Hello everybody, my name is Craig Butler. I'm a trustee on the board here at the Lawson Center. And today we're standing in front of kind of a unique little exhibit that we created. It's called The Living History of 73 Lakeside Drive, which obviously is the location of this building. So what we did was we chronicled the 12 pictures, think of this as a clock, 12 pictures that chronicled the history of this building and the Lawson family's involvement in it, leading up to the creation of the Lawson Center. So I'm going to start here. We do know, history tells us, that there was a boat-related business in this building at this location prior to 1900. There were a couple of owners that we know of. This gentleman here, his name is John O. Johnson, in a picture that was taken approximately 1911, was at least the second owner of this boat business at this location, and he sold the property in 1918 to Dave Lawson Sr. And Dave started his own boat business. You can see this is very early in the 20th century. You can see this motorboat cruiser here. That could very well have been a privately owned boat, but I do want to make the point that at that time there were very few privately owned boats on the lake. So a business in this building in this era is probably more like a boat livery where you could rent a double-end rowboat or a canoe or something and go out on the lake for a couple of hours during the day. Here you can see this picture. We see a roadster car from probably the 1920s going past the building. The building here that you can see where I'm pointing was the summer cottage for the Lawson family. There's another image of it next to the building where we're now standing. If you see the windows behind me, there's the row of window openings right above. So this building that you're standing in now was here well before 1900. This image was taken in the 1940s. You can see a couple of cabin cruisers here in front. Again, the Lawson family cottage, summer cottages there. There's a mobile gasoline station sign. These are the gas docks. As more and more private boats were coming into existence, especially after World War II. This is the entrance that we see by the street side. This was an addition that was put on by Dave Lawson in the 1940s to create a showroom, which is now the main display floor for the exhibit, for the museum as we know it. And you can see the LS Aero Marine at the top. The name of the business was formed due to a partnership of Dave Lawson and Ralph Shelton, who was an airplane aficionado. And the idea was that in their partnership they would also service privately owned airplanes. That partnership and the inclusion of aircraft didn't really gain traction, but the name of the business did stick, and ever since that time it's always been known as LS Aero Marine. Down here, this is a picture image of the 1940s. Now we have our mahogany speedboats in the lake out front. You can see there's many, many boats here. There's your gas dock. This is a very well-known image that was made into a postcard. So I think most of us that have been around the lake have probably seen this image many, many times. Around that time, I believe it was 1959, the senior Lawsons, Dave Lawson Sr. and his wife Margaret, handed the business over to their children, Jean, older sister, and Dave Jr. It was just the two of them. Neither had married, so there weren't other family members or any future generations involved. But they ran the business together for around 40 years until such time as Jean passed away. During this period of time, through the 20th century, the Lawson family also owned a facility down in Fluvanna on the Chattacoin River related to this business. It was boats, and it was storage, and it was service, and so forth. And Dave, being by himself after his sister died, was spending more and more of his time at the Fluvanna facility where he had a workshop and less time here. So you can see this image taken in approximately 2004. The Bemis Point location was largely out of business. The summer cottage was still attached to the showroom, so there's the home. You can see this little bit here is the showroom, so the cottage would have been right off to the side here. So it was pretty much closed up and in need of repair. So that's kind of the linchpin time period for how this came about. A group of volunteers that are very interested in boating on Chautauqua Lake and Chautauqua Lake history came up with the idea of having a boat museum, and a boat history and lake history museum. And wouldn't it be great if it was located in this boutique, iconic location of this building at 73 Lakeside Drive that has all this history and all this Lawson family history associated with it. And lo and behold, Dave Lawson said, I like the idea, let's go for it. So he donated the property looking like this in 2010. The group borrowed about $600,000 to renovate the building, and the year 2011 was largely the renovation time period. The structure was really quite sound despite a lot of the repairs and renovations that it needed. But the windows are new, the HVAC system is new, there's been some reconfiguration to make it a little more user-friendly as a museum. But a year was spent and about $600,000, and in May of 2012, the Lawson Center was open to the public. We are very proud of what it's become. It's been successful. We have a great following in the community. This is the opening party that we had, and that's right on the floor where you are now. The next picture is the showroom level, street level showroom, which is primarily where we have a lot of the larger boats, and we also have many artifacts hanging from the ceiling because we don't have a lot of square footage in the building, but we have a lot of cubic feet. So 2 of the 3 floors have some height where we can display a lot of artifacts that are off the floor. We always like this picture. When it was renovated, the cottage was torn down, and where the entrance deck is, the main entrance to the public, that's where the cottage used to be. And this particular image was on the occasion of an antique automobile club having one of their events here. And they have a couple of their cars out front, so we thought that was kind of cool. It doesn't have anything to do with boats exactly, but it does point out one of the main components of our mission and our organization here is that the floor where we are now standing, we call it flex space or banquet space, is the venue for many, many public and private events throughout the year. So we're very pleased with what our presence means to the community beyond just the base mission of a boating history museum and a mission that emphasizes the physical presence of the Lawson family. There's our final picture out of the 12, and that is our main entrance to the public. We have a sign out here and so forth. And the rest of it, they say, is history. I guess I will just add that is today turns into yesterday and time passes on. The Lawson family legacy lives on.